So welcome to our first Torah verse Shiur for our wonderful Talmidim, as well for our parents. As you know, at Torah verse, there are so many special aspects, one of which is our weekly Shiurim that we are now starting. This is going to be a 5-minute Shiur, a quick run-through of our 10 sources about this week's theme. This theme is also going to be from last week and the upcoming week because of the Chagim. And it always begins with a big question. As we're in the theme of Avraham, who is the greatest receiver when giving? That is going to be the theme, because we often think that when we're doing Chesed, it's the person that's getting the money, that's getting the help, that's getting the support. They are the biggest winners. They are gaining the most. But through Avraham, we see that the actual Chesed, maybe it's somebody else. And let's take a look. Sources 1 through 5 point through us the entire Parshat Lech Lecha, as we will be going together, as we will be going through with each student. And it tells us the beginning of the life of Avraham and what sets up Avraham to be great. And if we look at these sources, it points to Avraham actually. The promises that he's getting from Hashem are actually for his benefit. As the first Rashi says in source 1, Lech Lecha. What is Lech Lecha about, Rashi says? Lahanotcha uletovatcha. It's for your benefit. It's for your good that I'm doing this. You're going to become a big nation, as Sechala Goy Gadol, and you are going to become rich, and you are going to have many generations, and you are going to be famous. Those three promises, being famous and being well-renowned and recognized, being wealthy and becoming a big nation, is all that the Parsha is about. That's all we know about Avraham. As Rashi at the beginning in Perek Yud Bet says, when Avraham goes into Mitzrayim, why does he go into Mitzrayim with his plan to tell that Sarah is his sister? Yitnu li matanot, because Paro will give me gifts. And as we look at source 4, which we will return to shortly, Avraham becomes famous in the war of 4 kings and 5 kings. And he gets blessed by the king of Sodom and Malki Tzedek, saying, oh, blessed is Avraham, Le'el Elyon, he is clearly from Hashem. He becomes famous there. And then we look in Perek Yud Zayin, and Avraham's name gets changed to Avraham, and he is promised nations. Where is Avraham's Chesed? In Lech Lecha. And we're going to take a little small look at where the source for Chesed comes from. And we're also going to see it in Tzedakah, because if we look, Hashem says, what is it that's so special about Avraham that I've chosen him? In source number 6, Ki yeda'ativ leman asher yitzaveh et banav et beito, because I commanded him, and what is he doing? He's doing what's right. La'asot tzedakah. And as the Midrash says, what ends up happening here is that Avraham says the world needs to be run on Chesed. The world needs to be run on Chesed, Hashem. Your judgment alone will destroy the world. And when Hashem is willing to talk to Avraham, it's because Hashem is coming from a place of din, of judging the world, of judging Sodom before he destroys them. And what does Avraham come from? From Chesed. And so we look here at source number 5, and this is our first step into the world of Avraham's Chesed. And what does Avraham say? Avraham says, okay, he gives tzedakah in source number 4. And Avraham gave him 1/10 of everything. That's first of all. But the word is ma'aser, tzedakah. Within the word tzedakah is the word ashir, is the word wealthy. And we see it in the same story where Avraham is talking to Malki Tzedek, and he says him, ani e'esharti. Velo tomar ani e'esharti. Don't say that you, Malki Tzedek, made me rich. It's not you that makes me rich. It's Hashem that makes me rich. And what Avraham is pointing to is that by doing Chesed, we become rich. And Avraham says, I don't want anything from you. Just give me back the bare minimum. All Avraham asks for in that story is for the money for his captives and to remunerate, to pay back the people that served him. And as we see the source of tzedakah, mitzvah tzedakah yoter mikol mitzvot aseh, it is the most important action we can do. And what's the source for tzedakah? The same pasuk of Avraham as a source of rachamim. Ki yedativ leman yitzaveh et banav. For I have singled him out. Because he does tzedakah, he does true righteousness, where it is doing chesed, and because I know that all the gifts come from Hashem. And the more chesed I give, the more gifts I get. And when we look at the halachot, which we're now going to look through sources 8 through 10, when we look through the halachot of tzedakah, we see that it is all about this giving, receiving, because ultimately me as the giver is the biggest winner. And we see that the source of tzedakah, however, has compassion, rachamim on the poor, Hashem has rachamim on him, creating that cycle of giving and receiving. When we are open to that circle, that cycle, then we get all the gifts. Source number 9 we are going to skip, but it is a source also, an important source to look into on what is the other great act of Avraham's chesed. And it is the greatest act perhaps when he bought Me'arat HaMachpelah and he paid Ephron Achiti. He didn't take it for free, but he paid, once again creating a cycle of giving where he overpaid for something that he could have gotten for free because he knew the value of keeping Me'arat HaMachpelah was for the Jewish people forever. And actually, we learn the source of marriage, that you have to give money to a spouse, to a wife, from the source of Me'arat HaMachpelah. The source of death, of buying the grave spot site, is the same source of life, of getting married. It's an interesting source we will look into in source 9a, and source 9b speaks to this. Avraham creating this cycle forever, where him and Sarah are together forever in Me'arat HaMachpelah. And as we wrap up in sources 10a through 10e, you could look through 5 examples of tzedakah, of where it is the cycle of giving and receiving, where we give so people can receive the most. We give so they can, in a sense, they have jobs. We give on fast days, an ani. We give on those days that we are most open to Hashem's tefillot. Those are the days that we give, 10b. We sometimes even force others to give, knowing that it will create this cycle. And 10a is that we give without checking the person that is asking for tzedakah. We don't do any background check because we as the giver are receiving the greatest by giving. And to wrap up, source number 11 and through 11c, 11a through 11c, discusses the source that actually you come before anybody else. Just like on an airplane, you give your oxygen before others. Your assets take precedence over others. That sometimes when we give, if we have nothing left, it's a pasuk, lo yeh becha evyon in 11c, means that there shouldn't be any poor person in the Jewish people. The cycle of giving and receiving is that there will never be any poor people left. As we say in Birkat HaMazon, that nar ha'iti gam tzaganti lo ra'iti tzadik nezav. I have never seen a tzaddik, a righteous person that was left by Hashem. And this is the true chesed of Avraham. It is creating a cycle, a life. It is chesed that is the producer of life, not just giving. And that is Shiur number 1. Thank you very much.